But anyway, the story about art, I know it's a number of artists here and people which would like to know something about art. And maritime art. Why a maritime art? Well, because happened in my life, I spent many, many years on a deck of the ships. I built passenger ships, I built the cargo ships and military things. And in the age of 24, I was a supervisor. I had 100 electricians on my head. So I know ships very well. When I came here to United States, I start life from the Florida when I run electrical department for shipping. So, another ships. When I was a young boy, I painted a Mickey Mouse, a Goofy, and sitting in the night with the lamp and making drawings. In the elementary school, I received a 2-floor box of colored pencils. For us up there, colored pencils was not a simple thing. Well, so I was awarded. So my first colored thing starts sometimes in the 50s. Well, I tried to get to the Maritime Academy, but I was not accepted. And in a few days, I got a beautiful letter. I was drafted to the Navy instead. I says, I don't want to go to Navy. Why? Because it's 3 years. I want 2 years. I love different formations. Well, I couldn't talk too much because the 2 handsome MPs came, they gave me ticket, and you are on a train tomorrow. Well, and this started with the sea. Navy 3 years, after that merchant marine, shipyards, and the sea started to get the inward. On the end of my Navy duty, I got married with my lady up there the last 55 years. And one day she came and she says, well, she was 19, I was 21. We don't have the money to buy painting for home. And she brought me a big box of oil paints. They said, well, so paint something for home. And I am doing this for over 55 years. I love it. This is my medicine. I paint my life, and everything what I paint only things which I know. I never touch a subject not known to me. Because I spent so many years on the ships, so many years on the salvage tugboats, making crazy things, regular So we sit in a mess room. I said, do you have photos? Yes, we have. So maybe something for me? No, you are not allowed to see it. It's first photos, amen, forget it. But I will tell you, and they start telling me the story. You know how that it looks like? We dive down and we moving around the bottom to the position. Suddenly it's a big, big wall of sand. So we elevating the Alvin up, and now we see the bow of the Titanic. You know how that thing looks like? I am already nuts. You don't have to tell me how you feel. I'm already done. And this was the famous moments when I had to move in the direction of start paying the Titanic. Well, on the stern of the ship was standing Ali. I do have on my side, I have my photo when I am proudly standing in front of the Ali. Actually, I climbed inside. I had to pull my shoes off and to look in the cave. You don't see much. It's about 1 foot diameter glass hole with the searchlight, and so you can see on the bottom. Well, and soon I start seriously thing to paint. Soon was the first exhibition of Titanic things recovered from the bottom. This was in St. Petersburg. Well, we went to this exhibit. Nobody was allowed to make a photo. There was a very, very strict regulation on an exhibition. And it's beautiful because I see steering wheel. No, this was not the really steering wheel from the pilot house, but this was some kind of, I think, telemotor or steering gear system. Well, I start make a little sketchy thing, and somebody's touching me. Hey, you can't do it. Well, okay. So he turned back and started go in a different rooms of that exhibition. This was in the old Macy's building. He go back, I go back too. Well, I make it, and this was the beginning. The whole idea of the painting was a little different for me. A very big emotion. So many people. This was, everybody know, 1912, 11:45, the ship hit the iceberg. Well, everybody know what happened after. Uh, I says, what I will paint? I don't want to paint another ship who's taking water, chaotic people are in the lifeboats, and maybe people in the lifeboats on the water, and the star, and the reflections of the lights from the Titanic. How long you will see the lights? For me, it's important. I am chief electrical engineer on the ships. So, how long the fuses could hold up? When the generator will be baked. So those things are guide me to the idea to paint many people on the staircase. The staircase was known in the old photos. You can find this without problem. And I start painting. So make a perspective. How I made the perspective? Well, I found out in the books that the height of the steps on the grand staircase was from the shipyard number 6.5 inches. This was the beginning to beat the figures. So if you look on the painting, the perspective somewhere at the chest of the lady in a black dress. So I painted 3 figures. That one, and this lady. I line up everybody along those people. So I says, okay, I do have a style. Very quick, I discovered. I just paint 3 accidental persons. I don't know who am I painting. The face, the body, in a dress from the period, that's it. I says, my God, I am sitting so long to paint all those 3 people. What to do next? If I am investing so much, I will paint the portraits. I said, well, suicide mission, but I do it. So I start big for people. The whole idea, who to paint? Well, we know that the ship lost over 1,500 lives. Heavy load. Many people asking, you start going nuts because you start painting. You're sitting in the evenings, because I'm working in a regular day, I'm sitting in the evening in my studio. Requiem is going from the radio, so it's a funeral home. My wife, she survived, she's a brave lady. And I start feel the load of the people, more going to the craziness. I look in the window, I have a big window on the back side, I have a small studio, 300 square feet, not a big deal. I start feeling the faces, looking above the glass plate, and they whisper, they want to be. It's nuts. Well, we went to the Sears, and we ordered blinders. So from this time, I know how long I do have the blinders on the window in the studio. It started painting. I try to select the people. Those are rich and famous, and those poor ones. On the end, everybody are same. What's the difference? Well, so maybe I start adding every one person in the time. I find biography. My wife, she find the biography. We make a notes. We found the face from which place. On the beginning, New York Times, after thinking, they put many little square photos in the newspapers. So I had the names. I start by books about Titanic. I have about 20 books from this period and read of everyone's story. Well, so I am adding those people, and I start painting. Well, what I do, everybody going proudly with the captain. Of course, captain had to be. Well, I painted him on the side. He's standing above the steering wheel column, how the steering wheel column looks today. Why he separate? He failed. He failed big time, I am telling everybody. He was a hero for this company. But I blame him because what happened, one moment. This is a copy of telegram which was sent by Titanic. This is a copy, of course, but the original. What is it? In those years, the telegrams was sent from ship to ship because the range of the radio station was very short. And everybody was delivering information about conditions on the sea, the storms, the ice, and here it is, SS America, so a steamship, America, via SS Titanic, sent the radio message, which was received 10:51 p.m. to the Hydro office in Washington, D.C. Titanic struck the iceberg 11:40. So less than 1 hour. Why? Because they ignored it. Can't they know this telegram? He know it, but he ignored it. he went sleep. If something happened, he wake me up. This was the end of the story. So I said, bye-bye, Captain Smith, you're going to the side. Well, he's done. And I start painting the other. So like I mentioned, 6.5 inch, the perspective is on a chest of the lady in a black dress, and I start painting everybody. So what actually is on this painting? This painting is a travel in the time. What you see on the back, it's a clock. The original clock, which was on the Titanic, is the original grand staircase. And there is a time, 2:20, the time when water closed above the Titanic. So we have situation when everybody's standing and actually moving down. In the same time, the ship from the condition like a brand new is changing to rusticles, special bacteria today which cause some kind of, I don't know, Titanic or something. I'm sorry, I'm electrical fellow, I'm not a biologist. But they give the name of the bacteria after Titanic, which is chewing the Titanic very quick. And now you have the new chandeliers, and you have on the left side, you have a chandelier which is how it looks today, is hanging on the wires. From the exhibition of the Titanic, I find out women's shoes on the ground, I found out luggage, I find out the dishes. Everybody more or less have seen the interiors from the National Geographic copies or other ones. Well, those old beautiful photos shows later. 1998 was not. And well, so how I painted every one person up there has a little biography. I decided after finish of the painting to make a prints. We made a 1912 limited edition prints, and we published a little brochure, which is on the front page. You see up there on the table are laying the brochures. You have a silhouette of every one person with a number. You look on a number and you say, okay, I am interested in number 43. You're looking 43. Who is it? Captain Smith. Okay, so what we know about Captain Smith? On the next pages, you're looking on a position 43, and you have a little story about Captain Smith. And so every one person has a story. Then more, I painted people. Then when I added more and more, those feelings people which are in my studio whispering me to the ear is less and less. And finally when I finish the whole painting, as my work is done, I am finished. And this was all. Very often I am telling stories about every one person because this is I am like a rock concert. Well, if I would do that, I'd be Elvis. Well, so let's say this couple. Those couple owners of the Macy's, originators of the Macy's, Ascot, behind, but she refused to go to the boat. She stayed with her husband. They stayed back to the quarters. They sang together. Some interesting people. Now, I have only, these are 57 portraits. It's only one person which is not known because the little boy here on the right side, the boy is a symbol. It's a symbol to me of children from the 3rd class. The boy is walking and is trying to locate perhaps the parents, perhaps somebody from his family in this very bad situation. Maybe they standing. Selection of people, how they standing. Also, I had to be very careful when I painted. How I was doing? Well, my house is a raised ranch. I'm sorry, split level. And I have 8 steps up there. So I was asking my wife, please step on the first step. I will on the second step. Can we stand? No. You have to step to the side because you will not fit to the first person. So this way I line the people. So was analyzed. Next person on the left side from your side, it's a Lieutenant Murdoch. He was a duty officer on a bridge when they noticed the iceberg. He gives the command to the steering wheel, hard left, and so on, but was too late. They scraped the whole iceberg. Behind him, Mr. Astor. With him was a very interesting story. The most wealthy person on the ship. Mr. Astor was at the time 43 years old. He had approach of second wife, maybe I say. She was pregnant, she was 18, and they went together for vacation, and they decided to return by Titanic. She survived in a lifeboat. Mr. Astor was found number of days after a peak from the water. He had a little change of money in the pocket. He had a $2,500 change. So, very interesting number. Behind him, on the right side, behind the Astor, is standing designer of the Titanic, Mr. And he was running, we know this from the movie, which was made in 1997, 1 year before the painting. My God, I tell you, I am jumping between the words, but when I have seen the movie on the end has a moment when you have many people standing on the staircase. I said, it's not me, I don't like the copy. No, it's my design, and but they had a little short moment. Very similar. Designer of the Titanic ran with the paperwork, with the documentation. They tried to salvage the ship, to close the water gate doors, and nothing worked. We know he died. Another priest, Mr. Bales, he was 35 years old. He was helping on the deck, he was doing prayers, he was supporting people in this terrible situation. So, was a kind of famous man. Now, another people very, very interesting I was finding them on other locations, but for example, this man on the right side. This gentleman was found in the water, and only from documentation they located that he was electric elevator operator. This face is painted from the dead photo. His face I found on one of the photos of those people which have died, and after that they make the photos of them. So actually you see the dead face. Another people are Mr. Woods. Who was he? Mr. Woods was electrical engineer in London, and he just get the job in Niagara Falls as the electrical engineer. So he took his wife, 5 children, and traveled together. Everybody vanished. Another people, for me, was very interesting to add the orchestra. Everybody hear about the orchestra. That the orchestra played, what kind of song, what happened. So a lot of stories. So I painted the whole orchestra. They're standing here on the left side. And they play. Every one person is a portrait. But for me, the most interesting is the violinist. 21 years old Mr. Hugh. Mr. Hugh, the mother had bad feelings about the whole trip. But he was with Captain Smith in a previous trip on a different ship. He was with him on an Olympic. And his mom, no matter what, I am going. When ship sunk, and mother received the information that her son sunk with the ship. Very next day, she had a bill for unused hours on a uniform. What happened in those years? The band, the orchestra on the ship was not hired by White Star Lines, by the shipping company. This was a vendor which had a bands and was leasing those bands for the trips. And at the time, he do not use enough time to the uniform to get do not pay. So they actually charge the mother for unused hours of usage of uniform. So this was a 6 pounds and 5 shillings for the uniform, including type of the buttons and gold decorations on a uniform. That thing is a nice account. Like I've seen this is published on a Wikipedia, Titanic. You have this whole account. You're looking on these things, you can believe what happens. Another people on a painting. It's a very interesting young person. Only one woman from the second class which sung. Lady had name Snake, and she was married. She was a wife of the ship's captain. She was very young. She was 22 years old. He got the job somewhere on the east, and they moved to Singapore. They live up there, but the husband got yellow fever and died in Shanghai, in China. So they had a child. They had a daughter. Well, without support, without money, the young lady returns to London. She was an English lady. She returned to London. Her father was connected to the government of Great Britain. And he helped her to get the job on the Titanic as a stewardess of the second class. She sank with the ship. She was recovered by Canadian cable ship, which was directed to pick the dead body from the water. Another interesting people on the back under the plot are standing workers from the mail department. I just imagine how they push the mail. They try, because the water was coming on it always, and they always fought trying to save the mail. Just before them, standing Mr. Maxwell. He was a carpenter on the Titanic. So slowly, I was coming almost to every one person with a history. But what happened? Every one person, Mr. Stead, he was a writer. He wrote a story, a novel about Titan, not Titanic, Titan, which sunk. Well, he predicted actually a lot. He forgot to predict that he would sink too. Well, so Mr. Stead was. Mr. Furell, he was a American Conan Doyle. Very successful writer. So every one person, and this little brochure is giving all information about it. But so just to imagine, you have everybody painted. You have everyone history about the person. But I started from 3 people on the beginning, which doesn't have the names. I took them from Blue Sky. Well, we start looking what we will do with this. And we come into another very interesting situation. One day my wife, she's coming from the work, and she says, look what I find out. You have your lady with a child. I don't have to change. She was painted already. I don't know why I painted. She is. So, who is this lady? This lady is a Miss Paulson, Scandinavian. She had 4 children. What she was doing on the Titanic, her husband, he came first. It was a bad situation out there. Many strikes, no work. He decided to quit with the Scandinavia and go to the United States. He got the job with the Chicago Railroad, and he was up there a conductor. Finally, after 2 years, he collected enough money to buy a ticket for wife and 4 children and bring them back to Chicago where he worked. Well, she had this whole 4 children in the cabin. When they get the signal to go to the lifeboats, the children was sleeping, was late night, took her a long time to dress all of them. Finally, when I get those 4 children on the deck, there was no room in the deck, no boats on the deck. She was standing with the 4 children. During the trip, on the beginning of the trip, she met one of the gentlemen, which I have here on the teleprompter, name of the gentleman. I am lucky today, I remember my name, I'm shy. And she asked him, could you take at least 2 of my children? Well, he says, okay. This was a last boat, so-called collapsible. What is it collapsible? It's a wooden floor and a canvas saturated with some kind of chemicals so the water is not leaking to the canvas. They're raising up the sides of the boat, and this is a boat. He was sitting in a one like this. She was giving him above the water the children, but he loosened. He was 2 children, went in the dark nights on the side of the Titanic, never recovered. Practically everybody gone. She is gone, her children are gone. She was recovered also by Canadian cable ships, McKay Bennett. So this was the person which was not known to me, I painted. And I find out that I know her because I painted her. I don't know how this happened, but happened. Another day, same story, my wife is coming, and she says, well, I have another person which I think is that. Well, This was a passenger third class. The lady in the black dress, I don't have to repaint her. She just get the name, nothing else. She's very visible because she's in the center of perspective. Actually, in a chest, you have the whole perspective. The horizontal line, or guiding lines, everything is on her chest. And now, I have a third person which I have to repaint. This gentleman. Well, I am browsing by my books, and one time I found out a photo, accidental photo. I see the little boy with the dog. I don't need dog, I don't need a child, but anyway, somehow I read a few sentences in a book, and I found out that he was a son of the window cleaner on the Titanic. I says, my God, window cleaner, that's a good type of person for me. Let's paint the window cleaner. But at first I got to know him. I had some informations from different places. Massachusetts Titanic Society in Springfield at the time. I don't know if they're existing still because they had the artifacts. But, well, I find out from them that they have a face of the window cleaner on the Titanic. Well, they sent me the copy of the photo, little photo. I looked, I added only mustache. I had the window cleaner was my man, which I don't have to repaint anymore. It's scary. So this way, many special happenings, I would say. I gain on a window covering, so I don't see of anything outside the window. I'm very safe and very happy. The painting practically, it's ended. I make a prints, well, so this is the few things about the painting. Very short cut I do, really, because I used to have, with my wife, we had a coffee house in art gallery. Why I have so many years this painting? Well, the painting was a kind of big nail in the gallery. Gave me customers. I had so many calls sometimes. Mr. Sarba, are you working today? I said, of course, every day I'm working. I'm serving to the table. I am pushing plunger in the toilet, you name it, I do everything. Well, we would like, because we have a guest from Arizona, we have people from California, we would like to see your paintings, and of course, that like that. So I was very busy with this painting, and was a good. I will paint, like you see, there's a maritime art. Maritime art, why? The maritime subject. Nobody says the painting above a canoe, a yacht, which is traditionally maritime painting. I don't think so. Why? I paint what I get. So the story are the most important. When I get the story, I paint to it. I am searching for references. I am trying to get to the situation. When I painted Titanic, everyone painted. I am on the deck of those ships. I am the electrician, which is running with a bunch of fuses in a bag because I'm blowing, because water is coming. He's sliding on those hallways. The yelling of the people, the cracking of the sidings, the lights are going. You don't know what to do. You're just holding those stupid fuses and you're trying to fill up. This is a last year moment. Chief engineer, Mr. Bell, 51 years old, at the spike of his career. Everybody remembered him running straight to the engine room, slamming the door and going down, trying to do something. This is the last time when I have seen the Mr. Bell. I see him running to the engine room. I know the handrails are burning in the hands. The shoes are sliding on an oil. Why I know? I was doing it. So those stories are very, very personal to me. The ship I painted kind of underwater with the light through the skylight on the top. Well, to give the some drama, some light. Well, of course, the situation was not existing, but I have a painter license. I can do it. So another painting which I painted not really long time ago is the ship on the left side. The painting of the ship is practically not existing. What is it? This is a cable ship, Mackay Bennett. Right after sinking of the Titanic, this ship, this was a lay cable ship inside of the Halifax harbor. Get the information, you're leaving harbor right now. Pick everything what you can, and you're going to bring the body from the Titanic. Go to the place which we know the last position of the ship and search, and good luck. So they took 100 coffins. They had 40 people, actually all people which are work for funeral homes in Maritime, so Halifax and everything around up there. And they went to the position. Of course, the food called, this was a steamer, and they went. So you see the Mackay Bennett. This ship was one of the two which picked on the beginning 300 bodies. The ship is not big, was not big. What to do with them? They place them wrapped in the fabrics because they don't have enough embalming chemical substance to preserve those people. And they lay them on a forecastle. All over on the bottom of the ship. But anyway, the body are coming. They're working only a day. The situation is very dangerous. Why? Because when you have a wave, the body are swimming with the debris. So you have chairs, furniture, all kind of wooden subjects. And if you go with the waves inside of this difficult place, those things will destroy the boat. You can't go much. But the people, anyway, they sailed. I give a symbolic here on the painting, few wooden subjects. And this painting, it's a moment when Mackay Bennett is speaking last harvest of the day. You see the white dress? This is the woman in the night dress because, well, she was sleeping or the ship was sinking. I tried to give there some kind of climate. I searched for the weather, what was done, what was existing in this evening. I searched what as close as I could make. I searched about Mackay Bennett, technical documentation. So I made only guarantee that Mackay Bennett looks like this. Why is the buoy? They don't have a time to leave the equipment on the shore. They was armed same way like going to the regular job to lay the cable somewhere under the water. Very interesting, very spiritual for the ship was that Halifax Harbor in 1912 was a very large, still is a large harbor in Canada on the east coast, but was very busy. The tugboats, the traffic. But when Mackay Bennett was coming to the harbor, you don't see people. Total silence in the port. People vanished. Just a few hearses standing on a shore ready for the coffins. They call the ship of the death. Today you can, if you will search on the internet, you can find the ship, you find out really to the detailed story, how many people was picked in the first day, how many people was second day, what happened on the third, how was the ship resupplied with the chemistry for the body of the people, new coffins, and how looks the people after 1 week. Well, those things you can find out. But to me, the whole situation of this ship. So story first, paint second, and I have to tell the story by writing under the painting or telling them. Because when you look and you don't know, oh well, it's a ship. Yeah, well, that's not so bad painted, but actually you have no idea what is cooking on the painting. So those two paintings are actually creating second. I had third painting. This was kind of like a sketch by the painter, larger. This was a portrait of Mr. Smith, Captain Smith, standing behind the steering column. I tried, so I finished the painting, and one day I had a customer, like usually, Mr. Sarba, can I take a cup of coffee and go to your gallery on the upper floor? I had on the upper floor in Clinton, Connecticut. And he's coming, I had a family on a Titanic. Very remote what I had. I would like to buy the painting. I said, oh, it's so nice. I sold the coffee for $2.50 and now a couple bucks for the painting. So it was nice. Very interesting gentleman. He was the owner and the recoverer of the B-17 swamp host. Maybe somebody from the history here about wrecks of the planes from Second World War. He was finding one and recovering. So we had a beautiful talk, but anyway, the third painting was gone. I paint another paintings, of course. I do all the time because this is my medicine for today, our lives, to everybody. Nobody is copying 100%. I'm sure. We everybody have 2 terrible years. We still have a dragging, everything what is going terrible. So the art is helping me to disconnect, to unplug from this. When I get too much involved, well, I ended in a medical center in Old City, and they give me pills for blood pressure. Because the TB, I finished with the TB, my blood pressure is coming down. So it's a good thing. Well, one of them is my very typical, I would say, paintings is that third one. It's a stern of the tugboat. This is my tugboat which I worked 5 years. It was a dog, was a sister, very similar. They look sort of the same. And what happened, why I painted it, I would like to paint her from the different, not from the bow, not the typical, a little different. One day we ended our job in Spain. We towed a lot of junk, wrecks from the Great Lakes. The old steamers built before Second World War, everything was too old, had to be delivered somewhere, sold as the scrap. And this tug, we towed 2 ships at the time to the Spain in a different harbors. But anyway, our job, which was already about 4 months, was ended, and we're going home. Finally, we're going on the Atlantic, we're pointing on the English Channel, we're going home. It's coming radio message. We have a problem on the middle of the Atlantic. What happened? You are the closest rescue ship which is existing up there. They lost the prop. What happened actually, everyone propeller on a big ship. It's a big knot. It's a really big knot. It's a special design, but it's a big knot. It does not lose the protection, lose the cement in it, and all kind of blocking devices, and they get loose. They're drifting. Storm is coming. Situation is very bad. They have a few passengers which are scared to death. The ship is rolling, It's a large French ship, but they roll. They don't know what to do. You have to. How far are you going? I not so that 700 miles. Oh my God, 700 miles. Let's go full ahead. Full ahead. You can't. On a big wave, the ship is jumping. My cabin was on the bow. So how looks my sleep? I pulled from the bank a mattress, 45 degrees to the wall. The bank on the ship has a size, so you don't roll on the floor. And I make a V, I lay on my belly and try to sleep. And suddenly, you feel the ship is going up. It's lifting, it's working. Boy, it's so beautiful moment, quiet. So I get the nap. Suddenly, you're like you are in an elevator, in a high riser. Cut the line, we're going down. Boom! Oh boy, oh my God, I want to sleep. Oh boy, we're going up. Taken up. Boom, cable cut, boom, we go down. This was many hours. And finally, we have a message. Listen, I think we don't see them really well, but I think we see them on the radar. Well, I was very curious about that on the bridge. I stick my nose in the radar. Yeah, something is blinking to us, and suddenly the rocket, boom, above the horizon. They notice it. This is the happy moment when the scared people from beautiful big ship see the heavy, rusty, salvage now. It's like, it's excellent. So I painted the moment when we are rolling, the weather is getting worse and worse by the hour, and suddenly we see the rocket. This is the story about the little painting. If you will see the painting, what the heck is it? Some kind of rocket, some kind of tackle? We don't know what's going on. And well, if we are going, well, the main dispatcher is giving me signal. The last painting, I'm Elvis. It's another story. This is an illustration for the book, Going to the Black Island. I had a friend, and his father was the youngest captain for U.S. merchant marine during the Second World War. He was a captain in the age of 23. So, in one of the convoys in 1942, 12 o'clock in the midnight, Germans sent the torpedo. They blew up the Norwegian tanker. The tanker caught in the flames. This was a light fuel for the planes, so very light. They shot the torpedo right in tank number 3. Tank number 3 is right on the wall to the superstructure where is the pilot house. And everything is in the flames. The water is in the flames, the pilot house in the flames, everybody are cooking. It was 53 people on the ship. Well, as the patrol around was 2 flower class corvettes, Canadian ones. Both of them was very busy because the attack was done by 6 U-boats. So this was not only one ship, but the second ship. And about 3 or 4 o'clock in the night, the commanding officer of the convoy decided, okay, move one of the corvettes to the ship, which is alone now burning somewhere. Yes, this is the moment, very first light of the morning. The corvette is approaching and see on the horizon still burning ship. For them, waiting 14 sailors on the stern, because on the stern was only one place to survive the whole bad situation. The whole ship was in a flame. Everything was melting. Was a bad situation. So I painted this, and this will be in a book which I don't know, I think about 2-3 months maybe will be published. If we back to the Titanic, I have a small things up there. I have a copy of the coffee mug, which has a price on the back, from those years, $9.99. I don't believe how much I paid for it. And I have my dad. It's a white star Titanic. It's, but I am using it in a studio when the light is coming, so to protect the eye, I see much better. And it's very interesting, the book. The book is 1912. This is not the first book. The first book was printed 37 days after sinking. It was already on the shelf. That one, I think, maybe a month longer, maybe. But this is 1912 original story. The book which remember those things. Any questions?